this this person is talking about wanting to fuck this person, that person, and it just doesn't make nobody
So
cares.
ridiculous.
Wait
Yeah.
until it's about fucking animals in the videos. Jesus. We're heading there.
Hey,
Sorry.
Cedar, stop coming out here, please. I'm having a meeting. Thank you. They think they can just innocently walk out, and it's like they don't know what I'm going to be talking about at that particular moment.
Well, we don't usually talk too much in depth. We haven't talked too much in depth, like on that level, too much.
Yeah, I mean it's all related to their mechanism of control, though. Basically, what we talk about, we try to sit here and figure out what are they using to control us, what's their forms of propaganda, and how are we going to shake ourselves from them. So one of those things is obviously using our own sexual impulses and urges against us and sort of lining it up in this very self-destructive way rather than how it's supposed to be, us using those to connect with each other and get closer, and bond.
That plays, that scans.
What's going on, Chuck?
Howdy, pirates. How are you tonight?
Arr.
Arr. So, hey, welcome Mr. William Barnes. He had joined us earlier, and we invited him to join us tonight. William is a builder of metaverses and traveler of many fantasy realms. He is joining us just to say hello tonight.
How's it going, man?
Doing all right. Just enjoying life, I guess. Like,
yeah.
If you had told me I'd be getting paid to play video games at any point in my life, I'd have called you a liar. But this is so cool.
So this is specifically, that's why I invited him on tonight. So, William, Blackbeard, William, both of you now get paid to play games, and Blackbeard also kind of gave up his day job to play games, and now gets paid to represent those games. I mean, you two are like our idols. We're not worthy. You guys have figured out how to make a living playing games. But hey, I'm just glad to say that we know you. And when I go around walking around the world, I'm like, yeah, but you don't know who I know. Right. So you guys are cool. You figured this out. But the two of you, I mean, that's exactly when I met William online and started following him. Like, you two have really figured out how to navigate the gaming aspect of this whole blockchain world.
Yeah.
You asked what was gonna untether people from the systems of control. Blockchain gaming, my friend. We stand on the verge of a renaissance of there being more jobs that exist than humans have ever existed in the history of mankind. Like, I don't exaggerate one iota. I mean, it'll be as much as you can kill a dragon to send your kid to college, to you can spend your days crafting swords to take care of the gas bill or rent. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, the existing power structure isn't ready at all, and they're not prepared in any way, shape, or form. They don't anticipate this, and when the shift comes, it's going to happen so rapidly, and the slide will happen so fast that they won't be able to outmaneuver it. Like, all the amount of propaganda and wild, chicanery, whatever shenanigans they try to pull, it's going to be too late, because at the end of the day, what event could stop everyone on the earth from playing video games? I'll save us the trouble. Electromagnetic pulse extinction, right? That's the best answers I've heard. Okay, so gaming's not going anywhere. And if I gave you the option to go to your job or to play a video game to make a living, what are you going to pick? What is any human with a sane, rational brain in their head going to pick? I mean, unless the job that they do is something they are absolutely passionate about, buy a job. They're going to work playing a game.
And William, if there is an EMP where all of this becomes meaningless, then we certainly want to align with people who know how to live off the land and have developed let's call it a permaculture. And welcome to the Peaceful Pirates Permaculture Group, because that's just in case the EMP hits.
Yeah,
we're going to be together. Like, okay. I'll be
the way I put it. The way I put it when I tell people, I'm like, can you believe the Trojan horse for global wealth redistribution is going to be blockchain gaming? Like straight up, it's going to redistribute all of the wealth from the first world nations all around where it belongs. You already see it in the Philippines with Axie. You know,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure if Chuck told you I'm on the team for Rune. Not sure if you heard of Rune.game. It's gonna be a dark fantasy metaverse, kind of like influenced by Diablo 2 and a bunch of other games. But
Okay. Kind of like Lost Relics.
A little bit like Lost Relics. Lost Relics is going to be more like grindy than ours. Ours is going to be like a full-fledged metaverse. We're going to have the whole towns. We're going to have storyline. We're going to have hideouts. And we got actually 33 different cryptocurrencies on our platform that represent all the runes that were in Diablo 2. Right? So we got L through Zod. And all of those are different cryptocurrencies. And you can use those to craft items and different things in the metaverse. So there's this constant economic flow of runes going in, runes going out, and then you can actually win the runes through playing games. This dragon game that Ben has as his full picture right here, that's called Rune Evolution, and that is a play to earn game. You can fly your dragon around. When it first came out, I was like, there was no players. I was making $50 an hour playing it. I made like $3,000 in like 2 weeks of playing this game, you know?
Yeah. That scans, man. Those are real numbers, and the more
Yeah.
people you tell about it, the more flack you catch. Like, well, that can't be right. No, but what are they paying you for? You know, like, oh no. But yeah, no, it's the world we live in now, and the world that's just growing at a parabolic rate. I love it.
Yep. And then also just owning your digital assets. Like if you're playing League of Legends or Diablo, you got thousands of dollars of skins, you got thousands of dollars of items, and you can't do anything with those. Terms of service, they'll ban your ass for trying to sell them. Well, if those are blockchain items, your NFTs can now create value for you. And when you grind out all these items and you're gaining all these levels, that's your item. You should be able to sell that. You've created the economic value. Blizzard didn't create that damn value. I did by actually playing the game. I should be able to sell that, you know?
Yeah, the shifting from Web 2 to Web 3 is the real spark that set this all ablaze, because it went from excuse me, us being able to simply interact with the assets to us having ownership of the assets. The second we had ownership of the assets, gamers were granted agency. Their decisions held heft and real world consequence and weight. Let me tell you, I play this VR metaverse game called Revamon, probably the best metaverse out there right now, as far as I'm concerned. It is literally Pokemon in VR. The developers made a fan game of Pokemon VR, and then Nintendo and started coming in with lawyers. So they got their own lawyers and saved the game engine and reskinned everything, renamed everything, added the sound effects where they needed to, and literally just fixed the game exactly to where it was copyright safe, but still what everybody was comfortable with. They already have a huge community, so it was already bustling. Well, when I'm playing that game, I'm running around trying to capture these things, because when you catch them, it's a free to play game, and when you catch them, then you can go out of the game, hop on the Web3 app, and mint them as an NFT, and then sell them on the marketplace out of the game, keeping that cash for yourself or doing whatever you want with it. When I'm playing that game, it's a whole different scenario. Like, you normally play a game. Earlier, we were on the podcast, and he had brought up co-opetition, like something that is newer but based pretty much from gaming. You know, those sort of games where you're working together, but you're also competing to get the highest score. One of the more recent ones that comes to mind is like Fall Guys, where like everybody's playing together and everyone's competing, but someone's going to win. But you're not necessarily trying to fight each other, but you are trying to be the one that wins, right? Well, oh boy, I really do like to chase things. What was I talking about? I'm sorry. I didn't even smoke today, I promise.
That makes two of us. I don't know what I'm doing wrong over here, but hey, Jake, on that end, John,
anyway.
Jake, are you done? I mean, you decided to stop smoking like 4 weeks ago, right?
I stopped smoking for like a week and a half, and then I smoked again. I got super duper baked and had some great insight.
Okay.
So like I took another day or two off, and then I smoked again. Had some great insight. I was like, wow, this is great. Like when I don't smoke all the time, it's like I'm just getting this like psychedelic trip, you know? I'm like, whoa, fuck, just blow, you know. So I'm still smoking right now, just not as much as I used to. I only smoke these Jeters now, which are these infused joints. They're dipped in wax and then sprinkled with
Oh yeah,
keef, you know.
yeah. I tried one of those one time. I can't remember where we got it. One of the places I was that was had them legal, and
Yeah.
man, that was like I think it was a backwoods that was done like that. That was nuts.
Oh, those are excellent. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cha-
they're good.
changing up the subject a little bit here.
Yeah.
I think Jake, at one point in time, and Michael, William, you just talked about this is the one game there that they created the game engine, but then they had to reskin everything and kind of put new sound to it. And I think Jake, you might have talked about maybe a while back, possibly needing a sound designer. Is that right?
Oh
In one of
yeah,
the projects?
we actually found our guy though on Rune. Yeah, we found the
Okay.
sound design. Yeah.
It's kind of really interesting. Last week on our podcast, we had this guy, Phil Coleman, who's somebody we know from our local community, but he literally, let's just say that, God has decided to shine on him type thing. Just one of those kind of guys who really didn't necessarily handle everything in life really well, went through some real hard times, kind of got beat with drugs, came out of it, tried to get his life right. And he's really like, all right, I'm committing to getting my life right. And as soon as he made that commitment, I kid you not, like the world exploded for him. He's this finger drummer, and he just started like doing this online. Somebody was like, hey, can I make an NFT of one of your finger drums? Yeah, sure. What is this all about? Long story short is he ended up handling Mario Lopez's NFTs. He's in talks with like Carlos Santana now to do some of their
George
NFTs. They're
Lopez.
George Lopez. I'm sorry, George Lopez. And
I
like,
would have been way more excited if it was Mario Lopez. I'm just.
No, I'm sorry.
again
I'm
here.
sorry, George. I don't like. Okay, I know Carlos Santana, right? I mean, like everybody knows him. But it was interesting while talking with him. He started saying, it's like, it wasn't until he started going through this kind of blockchain world and understanding NFTs that he ever actually understood that what he was a sound designer. He always used to think he was a finger drummer, but people started buying his NFTs and putting them into different games. And now he's being brought in to actually help design like sound for these different things. And
Oh,
I remember
nice.
we were talking to him last week, and I was like, okay, that's fun, and starting to see all these connections come together, and that really does help to put those kind of real world talents into these, this gaming world that's beyond there. But
Yeah.
fun stuff, and it's kind of fun to kind of see everybody start to get lifted up by doing something that they enjoy doing, right? That's
Yeah.
sort of like their natural talent. Which brings
Stressful.
me, which
It can be stressful at times, though. Now, what I was getting at earlier, I remembered now. That Revamon game, when you're hunting them, you're hyper aware of. I mean, like if you're doing what you're supposed to and you know what you're doing, you're aware. Oh, hey, that one's worth $60. Oh, hey, I mean, like you're kind of ballparking it because the price of the token's shifting. But there's times when I'm standing there trying to catch a $20,000 Revamon, and I've killed it on accident before. And it's a whole different element when that play to earn aspect's in there versus
Yeah.
just any regular game. Like, oh man, I spent 20 hours trying to fight that boss and I lost. Well, I would much rather lose 20 hours than $20,000 at a single go where I could have been set for a
Yeah.
month on whatever I wanted to do.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I love that aspect of it. I play Blanco's Block Party. I'm not sure if you heard of that one. It's a really
yeah,
dope
Blankos.
NFT. Yeah, and basically you grind out the season pass to earn NFTs. So you can even grind for free, right? You can go through the free season pass and grind daily, weekly, monthly, or seasonal. And then if you get them all, you actually earn the Blancos, which is the toys you're playing with in the game. And there's a Blanco. They just had something called a gem rush. They only minted 200 of these Blancos, and you had to take 2 of your Blancos.
Did you get one?
No, I did not get one of them, but they're worth $2,100. Like straight up $2,100.
Yeah.
Like so yeah. And that's what I love about it too, is like even the games where they don't have a token or you're like not actively earning a token, you could just sit there and grind for NFTs like that and then go sell the NFTs on the marketplace And you didn't even need to spend a dime doing it. You can download Blancos for free right now and go earn NFTs. What other
Have you
game can you
seen
do
how
that?
much? Have you seen how much those Genesis Axes are selling for?
What, $400,000-$500,000? That's
2.2
crazy.
million
Well, yeah,
What
it's
the
fucking nuts, bro. Yeah.
fuck?
for one cutesy little
That's
monster
crazy.
from a game. Yeah.
And
Cutesy little
those don't
monster.
even need to be good ones either. Those can be shitty axes with shitty cards, and just because they're Genesis axes, they're
Yep.
going for 6-7 figures.
That's why I'm so
What?
excited about this Revlon game, because it's still in the beta and they're going to reset the servers. So only what gets pulled out and minted will stick around from the beta, and it will kind of be in that Genesis status via its mint number.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, I just got into Legends of Inari, which is a similar monster collector. I got an alpha pass for that. So we're gonna be able to do the same thing, go around in the alpha, collect these NFTs, and then we're gonna get to keep them, and they're not gonna be minted anymore after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
And
puts you in a
you,
very good position.
and you know, when thousands, 50,000 more people, 100,000 more people come and play the game, they're gonna want those old items, and they're gonna be sitting right
Mm-hmm.
there in my wallet.
Yeah. I was telling
Now,
him earlier on the podcast that I'm not a jewelry person. I would never get a Rolex. Like, I understand it. It's not for me. It's a little bit gaudy. It's not my style.
Mhm.
But I bought an $1,100 Diamond Hands NFT for that Revamon game, and it's a piece of gear. And wearing that in the game and hearing the players go, "Oh, are those the Diamond Hands? Dude, where did you get those? Oh my gosh." And knowing that there's only like 2,000 of them that will ever exist is like, I feel like royalty. But couple that with the fact that a Rolex isn't getting me a monthly $500 NFT airdrop, bypassing my purchase of an additional 5,000 Revo tokens that I would have to buy otherwise, but owning this bypasses that, and additionally boosting my DAO voting tier. Like, none of that stuff comes with the Rolex. All that stuff is on my Diamond Hands, and plus it looks cool in VR.
Yeah. Yes, and that's a big thing right there, which you just said, giving you a higher tier in your DAO, right? And basically holding on to these NFTs and holding on to these tokens gives you more weight when voting for your actual project or movement that you're doing. That's why we want to run Peaceful Pirate Project as a DAO, is so that basically what we're trying to do is create beyond the gaming thing, we're trying to create a network of self-sufficient communities that are tied together through a private blockchain technology that's going to operate the DAO and also work as the currency within the system, so we can trade goods and resources back and forth. So imagine a bunch of eco villages that are all tied together, trading goods and resources without the government even knowing, right? And we can, in the metaverse, we can communicate with each other, hang out with each other, teach each other other skills. You can sit there and teach people how to do specific things on the permaculture by doing them within the metaverse. Let's say you have a land in the sandbox or something, and you create a permaculture demonstration plot. People can come to your land in game, and they can learn about techniques such as aquacultures, aquaponics, food forests, etc., by playing a game. And then they can go implement those structures into their own land and be able to connect with us through a larger movement, through the DAO. That's our major goal right there.
Dude,
Oh.
okay, so back in the 90s, the government stepped in and said that cartoons were too violent. And so they established this rule that said that you had to incorporate educational entertainment. I want to say it was like 33% of the content that you showed had to be educational entertainment if you were going to show cartoons. That introduction of edutainment was, looking back, monumental, because at the time, all cartoons, and it's really hard for me to say this because they hold such a dear place in my heart, but all cartoons were pretty much just commercials, long form commercials to get us to buy toys.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it sort of prepped us for this like content, this like stream of content. And then when they introduced edutainment, it wasn't so alienating, so that we were already used to the format. It just brought us something different. And I can't tell you how many episodes of the Magic School Bus taught me some actual stuff. So what you're proposing is the logical evolution of that. I mean, not
Yeah.
necessarily saying that you got the idea from that or anything like that. I'm just saying that what you're proposing to me sounds like something that's liquid dynamite, man. That's going to blow up big time, because what is necessary is for us to simultaneously step into the metaverse and accept the fact that we live digital lives and have for years now, but at the same time, find a way to stay tethered to our humanity and the physical nature of everything while we're also exploring this metaverse and going to get to sail those seas or climb those trees or fly over this mountain or shoot that dinosaur, all that stuff. Being able
Yeah.
to still be us in the real world and still play those games. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, William. One of the things, like, actually part of our business model as a company is learn to earn. A big part of our model is built on mentorpreneurship, which is to say, as you're in these different metaverses, you can also be a part of something that makes sure that while you're interacting with people, you can actually be teaching them. And then, if you will, you could actually share in their future revenues in the same way that, like, the scholarship ideas work today. So I think that is a major model that, will be established. So not only are we just sitting here playing a game together, but while you're sitting here playing a game, talking to them about, hey, go over there and get that NFT, you can begin instilling in them, like, human values that are really let's say, more important than the actual currency value that you might be generating, because you're creating those true human connections. That are important and deserve to kind of last the span of time, and while also kind of purging ourselves of maybe the last 50 years or 100 years or whatever that number is. One of these days, I'm thinking that Jake will have an exact numbers where we can purge back to and be safe.
I think honestly we need to.
If we could just go back before Harambe's death, I'd be all right.
Yeah, that's when everything went bad. Dicks out for Harambe. Yeah, for me, I don't think that there is a time to go back to. I think it's forging ahead using green technologies that have always existed and combining them with the modern technologies that would make life a lot easier and be able to, like, let's say, like I was saying before, AI being able to check in on your plants, figure out the exact nutrient levels in the soil, figure out the moisture levels, and apply the proper nutrients and water and everything it needs without even having human interaction. Why can't we make systems like that make our life as humans so much easier, so we can spend our life with the people we love actually enjoying life, rather than sitting here constantly struggling and in this 9 to 5 50 60 year struggle. That's the whole thing here, is we're basically, we want to be like Robin Hood, right? And we want to gather as much riches as we can so that we can start creating that freedom for ourselves and our loved ones, and hopefully spread that idea around to a lot of other people that want it. And if the metaverse ties into that, it would definitely be, in my opinion, through the edutainment type of method, where people can learn how to do this without having to actually travel to California or hours out of their way to come to my permaculture. You can have a digital version of it, right?
Well, you could actually even start to integrate with IoT devices like autonomous tractors, and actually start, you have somebody that has to take the tractor over to a field and then just kick it off and let the AI take over from there. I mean, that's all legitimate to think that could be controlled from a metaverse type of environment, especially when it comes to agriculture, because we're already seeing that.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely there's a lot of positives, but then of course there's also negatives, like big corporations like Facebook trying to come in, and people who want to use the metaverse as a way to collect data and keep us controlled. So, it's like this double-edged sword, as all technologies are. You got people like us who see the benefit, then you got people like them who see that they could use it to control people.
Yeah, and ultimately I think that, there ends up being a balance kind of between
creation and destruction.
This gets into the whole idea of truly the interoperability of the metaverses, which we were talking about a little bit earlier with William, is that right now we really have more meta spaces than we have metaverses, because the metaverse is all one connection. And until we get to that interoperability, that's all we're really going to have. But depending on sort of where we keep our identity and how we decide to store our data, then we can play nice with those who might want to share, or we can decide to cut off, and we can be in more control of that kind of piece of it. But I have a question. I'm going to radically change conversation here. As I was just thinking about identities, I see that like Mercy Bell, you are now Mercy Bell Ring.
Yeah, because I tried to get Mercy Bell and then they didn't have it, so I was like, well, let that bell, let that love bell ring. I don't know.
That's why you just. That's why you just gotta add a bell emoji. You just put Mercy and then put a bell emoji, and solved.
Well, I haven't done it in a long time, but I used to wear bells around my neck, these little ones, but they would be like these specific tones because I was really into music therapy type stuff. So I want to wear them again, but I used to go and look for different tones and so just walk around and kind of, resonating this like sound, because I just feel like there's so much coming at us all the time that's kind of putting us in this sound. I mean, it's true though, like there's different tones and different hertz and different signals coming at us all the time that kind of throw off our essence. But for the longest time, so it's kind of fitting. And then plus my stepdad he's always called me Andy Bell. So, I mean, it's kind of just fitting anyway.
And well, actually, to the point that you're making, because I've been trying to, you guys throw so much stuff out that I'm not even aware of. So I go and I dig a little bit, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting information. I'm like terrain theory. This is good. Wait, now that just went off the end, but I'm following it. But you've shared some stuff on the frequencies, so I've actually a couple times now gone over to like YouTube and tried to like listen to the different frequencies, and that's interesting. I mean, I think that there's definitely something to it. Let me say it that way. I haven't gone deep enough to figure out like what is this actually doing, but you can certainly feel, let's say, a calm or I don't know, a something, right, with these different frequencies that exist, and that I'm not there yet. But I say all of that because one of the things I think that we should be really thinking about as we're creating our identities on blockchains would be to more or less create our identity. Say is like, no, when I enter a metaverse, I only want sounds that fall between these frequencies. I only want content that speaks to me this way. Like we should be able to mediate what the metaverse gives to us. If that metaverse wants us in it, it should also respect how we want to be interacted with.
Otherwise, it controls you. If you don't like have that, I don't know. It's like walking in with your boundaries and like
these large elitists use these tones to manipulate us. There's actually tones that are able to release alpha waves in your brain. They've shown studies that psytrance, the type of music, can increase alpha waves in your brain. That one rapper XXXTentacion, before he died, he had an interview where he's talking about, he's like, I can make you feel however I want to make you feel through the tones in the music alone. Right? So you can literally control somebody's emotional state and release different brain waves through musical tones alone. I think, I'm not sure if I told you, but I was listening to an interview with the sound designer from Top Gun. I think it was who was that? Tom Cruise in the 1980s. Well, she layered actual real animal roars underneath the airplane noises because it would give this visceral adrenaline surge when you hear this gorilla or this lion roaring at you. So rather than just the normal plane noises, it was and that right there is manipulating our psychology because our mind doesn't know that a lion's not behind us about to attack us. When we get jolted by that surprise.
Something in us like that deeperness like kind of actually knows what it is already.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's actually why I turned down that role and they went with Tom Cruise. I had heard that they were going to do that, and I said, no, that's just not me. I'm not going to be a part of that.
Yeah, I think it's important I mean, I don't know. I'm not expecting anybody to do this, but it should kind of take at least a mild interest in cymatics, because that's just like tones resonating from cymatics. Cymatics. It's these different tones that resonate that create an actual shape. So it has a language. They have, I don't know if you've seen any of these cymatic videos, like somebody will have a black table with some salt or some kind of white salt on it,
Yes.
and they'll resonate a tone, different level of hertz, and it'll literally change, shape. They'll switch the tone and it'll change into that shape. So like understanding like what that language is even is just so foreign to us. Like I know people have been studying it. I try to once in a while, I keep forgetting to, but there's
If
something to that even.
actually,
Yeah,
then
it's,
we'll go.
this right here. Check this out. I'm gonna share a little video of it. Come on, get to the picture. So as they change the tone, it actually vibrates this plate and changes the formation of the sand or salt crystals or whatever's on it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, like what is that? Like what is that
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Well, think about it like this. If that is doing that to the sand and the vibrational energy alone is able to create these amazing shapes like that, then what is it doing within us, to the water that's within us and to all the molecules and everything in us? There's another thing I used to read and watch. It's Messages in Water by Dr. Masaru Emoto. And what he did is he said these things or like created these messages in this like to these water as he was freezing them, and took pictures, super microscopic pictures of this water as it was freezing. And the water that he said negative things to, the crystals didn't form correctly. The crystals form all fucked up because the energy being put to it. But the ones that he was put messages like "I love you," "beauty," "peace," etc., formed these beautiful crystals. So
those were actually symmetrical. The other ones were chaotically formed. The ones with the positive stuff were all symmetrically formed.
Yeah.
It was strange.
Yeah.
They did a similar thing with rice,
you've seen
where
it.
the positive stuff spoken to the rice kept it a good longer, and the negative stuff spoken to that particular rice like went bad faster.
Yeah, see, I was
Yeah.
wondering that about fruits and vegetables that weren't like organic or whatever, that you could literally at least like kind of do this like kind of, I don't want to say meditation, but something where you're resonating a good tone to it, or like good, something good to it, and it would help it regardless of like what it's been through, like the toxic people or water that had hit it, or like where water's like flown through, water's
Yeah, the positive
being taken
energy.
and yeah.
The
So let me-
positive energy being placed into it actually changed the formation of the water depending on the vibration that they were giving it through their own emotional energy. Right? I will kill you. This is the crystal that formed as he froze it versus thank you. So
let me ask, like, when you talk about the idea that like there's language, there's words being spoken versus tone, is there something that's related to messaging, if you will?
Intention.
Yeah. Okay.
Intention.
Let's say is there something to intention? Because I could say something in a different tone and frequency that could be positive or negative. So is it more than just tone and frequency?
Yeah. I personally believe so. I think that would be more a philosophical
I think
discussion
intention.
depending on our own beliefs, but I agree with the intention thing. I think that we can emit some sort of emotional frequency because we can pick up on other people's emotions. We can pick up on a cat's emotions or a dog, and we can sort of like sense whether they're feeling uneasy or whether they're feeling peaceful and relaxed. We can, especially with our own children. Like
I've
we
had
can
this.
sit here. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, there was this song I was listening to, and I love the melody of it, everything. But as soon as the guy comes in and starts singing what he's singing about, I'm like, what the hell? Like he just totally, like the words were just like about something that I don't want to hear about this.
It actually just happened the other day, man. Like, we're driving back from South Carolina to New York, right? So I'm always there. Like, okay, I can listen to a bunch of stuff, but every now and then you're just like, okay, throw on a station locally just so I can hear something. And this song came on that I'd never heard. And I was like, oh, I like this. And all of a sudden, like, I wasn't paying attention to the lyrics, but I was like, nah, I got to change that. I really don't even know what the lyrics were saying, but it was like, okay, that sounded good. But then you just instantly knew that there was something wrong with that, which then brings me to something that Miss Victorious Rebel speaks of often. So my wife had posted this video from Dr. Peter McCullough. I don't know if any of you guys have watched it. He's the guy who is now testified in front of Texas and other Congress. He's this epidemiologist or whatever those people are who study diseases, and this degree after that degree about medicine. And he's talking all about the COVID stuff. It's about a 2.5-hour video with Joe Rogan. And somewhere in the middle of it, he literally starts saying, because no, they're putting spells on us. They're putting spells on us. And I'm sitting here like, okay, and there we go. Now we have Victoria shaking her head, because that's exactly what you've been saying for a long time now, is that there are literally being spells being put over people.
And they're doing it in so many different ways. I mean, not only are they doing it with books and music, with words, you have to spell words in order to spell them out. They're putting spells on us through pharmacy. Pharmakia comes from the word sorcery. That's a spell. Vaccines are spells. Our phones are working off of magic. Our computers are working off of magic. Everything is working off of magic. Lights use magic. It's energy. It's harnessing energy.
In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, they would cast spells and incantations, which were more like to chants that would be repetition. So they would sit here and repeat these certain words and phrases in the minds of these people who were high on drugs, right? Potions were actual drugs that they would get these people high on to alter their brain state, and then they would use chants and repetition as their spells, which would manipulate these people into literally believing and acting certain ways. Like, and the technology lines right up with, let's say, MK Ultra. They were doing the same shit, right? They were sitting here grabbing American and Canadian citizens, abusing them, torturing them, getting them high on drugs, repeating certain phrases and words, and boom, the Nazis were doing that too. So you really think about it, this technology has been utilized for thousands of years on individuals. It's written about in holy books across time where they were doing this shit. They know how to alter the human psyche enough to manipulate the human psyche into doing what they want it to do.
So one of the things that we've been talking about also is making sure that, that we recognize that our goal is to remove ourselves from the unhealthy environment and to create the more healthy environments. And, tonight our theme was encourage progress. So I was thinking maybe what we could do is tonight just kind of like, all right, everybody just take a minute or two and just share words of encouragement that are just sort of different. Like just speak from the heart, some words of encouragement. I don't know, this is going to kind of put everybody on the spot, but I kind of think that like we're all fully capable of this. And
words of encouragement.
Yeah, like, I mean, because we meet each week and we've been talking about being more intentional about focusing on the healthy side of what's going on. So I figured I'd just kind of bring out the idea, like, let's make sure that we are actually sticking to our own words, right? Making sure that when we're talking about our intention of getting together and not simply just like repeating our awareness of what's not good.
Things.
Yeah. And good there. It sounds like Mercy Bell has decided to go first.
Oh, did I? I mean, all I can think of to say right now, because I'm trying to focus on it more and it's giving me encouragement, because I am so aware, and I have talked about all these things we talked about for a decade now. Even it's kind of exhausting sometimes. I just do want to move forward with solutions, and I think like without letting things get me down too much, like all I can really fathom is like focusing on keeping my consciousness alive, not letting it drown out or get sucked into society or feel frustrated about it or this or that, or any traumas that I've had to deal with, or anybody else's traumas that are coming at me with it, or whether they're walking around it with themselves. All I can do is try to admit the strengthening of my consciousness and bringing that awareness back to me and getting through this, and so I can walk towards my goals. And hopefully other people will kind of liven in that spectrum, because I really do feel like there's a lot of pressure in this consciousness being attacked and killed and wiped out. Like people are so numb and so living, they're not even being themselves. So I don't know. I think that's the best thing we can try to do is like take these moments when you're feeling frustrated and feeling hopeless that you have your consciousness, and that's the most solid real thing that you can. Religion, all this other stuff, like we all really don't know about that. That's all on faith. But we're all consciously sitting here talking to one another, and that's like the most solid thing that we all can probably agree on. If you don't agree on it, I'd like to hear your idea. But yeah.
Well, Tim was talking about unreality tonight. Maybe Tim can
Yeah,
share some
unreality.
Unreality. Well, we were talking about the metaverse, right? And in some, right, it's real, but it's not unreality.
Yeah.
Really,
yeah.
that was just my like.
It depends on how you manifest it.
Hey, I have an interesting thought. I have an interesting thought on technologies. Do you think that a beehive is an unnatural creation? It was made by bees. It's made naturally through the minds and work of the bees. What about an ant colony? Unnatural creation? No, it's natural, right? What about the metaverse? What is it because we're humans, somehow our creations are unnatural? Or is the metaverse some sort of natural extension of us? Or is this technology
It is a natural extension of us. It's just it's an extension of mankind that, at least from what we currently tend to promote and believe, has never existed in mankind's history. And we're literally creating living spaces in manners that we can't comprehend. But no, it is natural. It's a natural outgrowth of who we are. Yeah.
Human societies too. Like if you look at a beehive as something natural, then obviously the way that we formulated our societies are also natural. But at the same time, you can have mutations which make a beehive form fucked up. You can have different things like chemicals introduced into the bee's environment that make their hive not as strong or not built with stronger materials. So you can have the same type of mutations within human societies where we're cutting down the earth around us in order to provide for these major cities. We don't have enough food or water to provide, so we got to sit and travel hundreds of miles to get it. These are different mutations of what was arising natural for us, which were more of these tribal eco-village type of communities where we had everything self-contained within the community. We didn't have to go out and use a bunch of fossil fuels to grow thousands of pounds of food, right? They're just all right there.
You actually are kind of starting to touch on a point one of the podcasts I listened to on the way up was this whole concept of as to whether or not humans were ever designed or even capable of living in a global world, right? That because we were designed for small relational tribal communities. We thrive in smaller packs, if you will, and we tend to very well cooperate and work with other tribes, packs, communities that are nearby. And that we do tend to break down our best existence once we try to do it in mass. So it's I think that you're definitely hitting on something there.
Yeah, and
the average social human threshold is 200 people. Studies show that you can only really maintain 200 real friendships or familial partnerships. Beyond that, you start to lose the information and data. No human brain is formatted for that much. So yes, small tribes are natural.
This is true. So that's why we think rather than a large, huge counterculture type of movement, it would be better for each crew to have their own pirate ship, which would be their land, right? So your land is the pirate ship, your tribe is the crew, and you communicate with the larger fleet, which would be Peaceful Pirate Project, through the decentralized autonomous organization, rather than trying to combine everyone into one single movement of 500,000 people. Now each individual pirate ship has its say within the actions of the fleet. Yeah. Intricate idea where, I mean, we're still in the beginning stages of planning it. We were thinking at first, before we even heard about DAOs, we were thinking about a non-profit, and then DAOs came into play because I've been messing around with YGG. Yield Guild Games. They're the ones that blew up Axie, basically. Yeah, so I stream with them on Sundays, and I just started looking into DAOs. Like, what is a DAO and how do they work? I love the idea. Like, it's there's no need for a board of directors. The actual people who hold the token or the NFTs can decide the direction of the entire movement. There's the community we need is a larger community with outside of our 200-person tribes.
I do think that there's still going to be a place for the legal formation. I only say this because we are going to start going deeper into like pursuing the legal structuring, and we're looking out in Wyoming where we have talked about this before. Because I do think that the DAOs themselves, while they can exist completely independently because of the laws, codes, X, Y, and Z's that exist in humanity, having some sort of legal structure to represent it and act in the physical world, I think empowers a DAO. I think that there's DAOs with legal formation behind them now, but I think there's also ones that people are trying to just create and call it more or less like pump the currency. I think there's a value, and I think that there's a value in having a legal formation behind it, and that exactly as you're saying, all the voting whatnot still impacts that legally formed agreement, right? There's a lot more to that, and we'll share that as we get that information.
Yeah, we're still trying to work on the format, and we're still learning about all this. It's a brand new space, so I've had this idea for at least 10 years. It was 2012 was when I took my permaculture course. So like I've been trying to do this. I just haven't like had a crew or the proper format to be able to. And now the crews come along and we're working on the format. So we're gonna get it done. And then the metaverse came along and said, "Hey, here's a boost to getting your money to get your land. Just play these games."
So talking about the crew, I mean, Ben has been awful quiet tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, what's up with that?
Ben went to Florida for hyperbarics training. So maybe he can tell you about that if he's around.
Yeah, the hyperbolic, the chamber for diving.
I think hyperbolic is the time machine.
Okay.
Hyperbaric is pressure.
Okay.
Increased pressure, but you increase pressure and you breathe 100% oxygen, and you restore the body. It causes the body to produce more stem cells. It increases collagen production. It heals tissue. It's accelerated healing. It's like insurance uses it for burn victims because it heals the burn.
Now this is the same thing This is the same thing if you ascend too quickly while scuba diving, right? Same chambers, right?
Right.
Okay.
And if you hold your breath while ascending, you can pop your alveoli, or if you're breathing nitrogen and you ascend too quickly, the nitrogen bubbles don't, they expand too quickly, which can cause problems. So you want to, if you're breathing like surface mixture and you're diving, you want to stop periodically if you're down long enough. But that's not a problem when you're breathing 100% oxygen. So
now, I mean, like, never known you to be quiet, Ben. What's been up with it? I mean, you've been quiet tonight. You okay? Is all good in your world?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm just listening.
Excellent.
He's tired after his journey. I think he's just coming back from Florida.
He's a good listener.
He said it was like a 32-hour drive with his sleep in a parking lot.
Yeah. I'm interested in this Revomon. What happens to the NFT after you mint it? Can you turn it into like a character in the game, or you sell it and then
it is a character in the game? Imagine you are literally inside of Pokemon. Imagine that little Pikachu is right there next to you, and you can pet him and play with him, and he's like following you around and following your commands and fighting the other stuff. That's literally what the Revomon are. Is this whole series of 159 or 158 specific individual each one. Some of them evolve into other ones. Some of them there's just one of this particular type. There's some of them are leaf type and fire type and yada yada yada. It's just exactly like Pokemon, only in virtual reality. And actually getting to see your little Revomon there is, I mean, there's no comparison. It's not even the same sport anymore. But yeah, on top of the fact that you could still use it in the game before and after it's minted, it's still yours. You're still able to bring it out and train it up and continue to add to its stats. But you could optionally sell it off or even trade it. I mean, it's your asset. So I've seen people make deals for selling off a whole collection of just the shinies or a 3-pack of all 3 of the legends and stuff. So, I mean, it's kind of the sky's the limit for how exactly you want to structure it or what you're going to do with them within the confines of how they operate in the game.
Okay.
I'm gonna watch some videos on Revomon. I'm into a couple different Mons. I'm into Blockmon and I'm into Legends of Inari so far. So now time to get into Revomon. The monster collecting games. And actually I have like 16 Axie scholars working under me for Axie Infinity. Even though that's not that's not really a Pokemon game. You can't collect them. All you can do is battle them at that one.
Oh, you can collect them. That's just not exactly the same. And I'm so surprised about that game because it's so bare bones. I mean,
And
there's
boring.
just nothing
Yeah.
there. Yes, there's nothing there. It's more of a card game than it is a monster fighting game. But they kind of packaged it with that cutesy aesthetic to kind of get both sides, because trading card games perfectly play into the play to earn, the whole collectability aspect, the whole NFT aspect, all that stuff. It's just almost hand in hand with it, but it's sort of low hanging fruit. So I kind of feel like they were like, well, what if we added some art or made them cute little characters on top of just being pretty much a card or a couple of cards. So
yeah.
I don't know. They definitely hit gold with that. I mean, I'm convinced that that they'll be, valued extensive. Those Genesis axes will be valuable for our foreseeable lifetimes. And with our level of income and the modern advances in science or wizardry, whatever you believe, it's not unreasonable to believe we could live to be 300, 350 years old, So we'll see them around for a long, long time being worth millions. It's nostalgia. It's the most potent marketing tool that's ever existed. Disney proved it to us unequivocally. They bought our childhoods, repackaged it, sold it to us, and now we're eternally devoted to them because of it. And imagine growing up and instead of DuckTales being the best thing that this company's ever done for you, they brought your family out of poverty. They helped your whole village defeat the pandemic. Your grandparents and your little brother all of a sudden are equal breadwinners with your dad. Tell me those people aren't going to have the greatest form of nostalgia ever fathomed by human minds. And it's all going to be because of the game, it's the future, man.
Yeah, I bet my scholars are gonna have a special place in their heart for pirates for the rest of their life.
Absolutely. Hey, you guys, it's been super, super fun, but my phone is about to die and I do need to get some work done. So
Hey,
I'm gonna go ahead and dip out. It's been so much fun.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you.
Bye.
Looking forward to future chats with you for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, me and you definitely gotta meet minds.
Yeah,
You all have a great evening.
Later,
too,
man. Have a good night.
All right, and because we're gonna have to jump off, but not before we have Victorious Rebel give us her words of encouragement.
Oh yeah. What about everybody else?
I had one too. What was it? Oh man.
You went off on a whole other
Give me
tangent.
one sec. What did I do with my phone? I can find it. Give me a minute. Somebody else go before me. Did Ben give his words?
No, he did not.
I'm gonna join the Revomon Telegram right now. So
I want to check that out too.
Revomon.
Sorry.
I actually pay for these. It's called Animal Talks, and I did it with Penny, and now I'm on Petrie. So I read this to them. I say, I'm working with a guy in Florida, and he sent me this. He says he can get into their body and mind and like feel their like pains and stuff. But he said, I am healthy in mind, body, and spirit, so be it, and so it is. I release all negative and non-serving energies and emotions with love, light, and lesson. I am secure within myself and surroundings. I communicate effectively and in a positive manner with grace and ease. So I read that to Petrie. Well, I've read it to him once, but I'm going to keep reading it to him. And it worked with Penny. She stopped running away, but it's also like a communication thing between me and them. I don't know. Those are my words of encouragement, I guess.
Right now, very good, very good.
Good mantra.
Yeah.
Mine is, don't be a pussy. Just fucking do it. Like, if
Yeah,
there's something you want to
affirmations.
do, if there's something you want to do, just fucking do it. Take the steps that it takes to make it happen. Put in the goddamn effort. And don't hold back, because you only live life fucking one time. Even if there is an afterlife, we only live this particular incarnation of ourselves once. And we got to make the best of it. Don't sit there and hold back to protect other people's feelings. Don't hold back because you're scared of what people might think of you. Be yourself. Be proud of being yourself. And give it your fucking all, no matter what you do.
Nice.
So
Those are good.
mine, I said this to JM in the ship channel the other day, and I heard it from somewhere else. The meaning of life is to just find meaning in your life. And it kind of works for everybody, no matter what spectrum you're on, what perspective you're working with. Just to find the meaning for your life is the meaning of life. Whether it's battling the elites, whether it's being one of the pedophilic elites, whether, in order to battle the bad guy, there's got to be a bad guy to battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the quote? Is something about like the meaning of life is a life with meaning.
Yes, to find the meaning of your life is the meaning of life.
Creating purpose in your life.
Come here, Thea.
Now I know for myself,
What about you? Yeah.
Really challenged. I've been really challenging myself lately to truly find gratitude in everything. Right, our faith speaks in terms of finding joy in the trials, and we've had tons of trials. But it's actually interesting, and I'll share this. Like when our grandmother just died, during that whole thing, at one point in time, my wife and I were talking about like the whole experience, and the word she chose was, it's been amazing. Because despite the fact that you were going through such a great loss, there was true, honest, sincere gratitude for the life that had been lived together. So for me, it's just a matter of really trying to express gratitude. Just simply brings me to the fact that I truly do appreciate all of you. I look forward to our calls together. I think that they're fun. I think they speak to what Jake just said, going after what it is you believe is worthwhile going after. I think the meaning in life is to actually fulfill a purpose. I believe that, part of my purpose is to work with others who are working toward their purpose. So I'm just grateful that, we do get to meet together, and like people that we don't know, complete strangers, become, really friends that you can just share with one another, even in the hard times, what we're going through right now. But, we end these conversations and I typically just feel better for the sake that we got together. So for me, my word of encouragement is more just to say thank you again for you guys being you.
Well, thank you for joining us, Chuck.
Yeah.
And also, thank you for keeping an open mind while you chat with us, because I know a lot of the subjects that we chat about are really not mainstream subjects, and they probably make you question some of your own, let's say, musical idols or preconceived notions about reality. So, we're happy you come in here and bear with us through all
You
of
always
our...
pose you always pose really good questions too. Like you keep
Yeah.
things like interesting and flowing in that way.
Well, thank you. And I like, for me, I think what you're saying, Jake, it's more just freeing, right? When you hear a new perspective, because it's, I do believe I've sort of been set free from the bondage of this life. And now the rest of it is a matter of just shaking off all the old dirt. And there's a lot of that. But these different perspectives just sort of help you go, well, there's another one that you just let go of. So I think to me, that's really why I do appreciate the conversations quite a bit.
I think that's all of our goal here, is to really shed as much of the programming as possible and to actually be free humans that feel good, that are full of love and joy and not a bunch of darkness and negative energy. And we're coming here to try to figure out which pieces of shell are still stuck on us after we crawled out of our shell, right? Because we broke out of it, but there's still a bunch of pieces. And we're like, hey, you got one on your back over there. Yeah, well, you got, like, what are we still attached to within this programming? And I think
exactly
that's
right.
good. We all coming together and sort of indicating that to each other so that we can question it. Let's peel that shell off. Let's get free of all of this.
Absolutely. See, and now,
one thing.
I was going to say, now I'm actually just even more gratitude because I love cute little faces. And Victorious, I don't mean anything negative toward you. I just mean your daughter's so cute.
She is. She's super cute. She's also a Scorpio, so she's crazy.
All right, Tim. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right. No, I was just gonna say that one of the things that just like you were just saying, is that a lot of what we do in life is all based on a choice. God gave us free will, the ability to make our own choices. Making choices is, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's difficult, but the choices that we make actually start to reveal who we truly are. And choosing happiness, choosing joy, choosing to move forward, choosing to persevere, choosing to look at the positive even when things are really challenging. Sometimes I think those are the things that we take for granted, is the fact that no matter what is around us, no matter what's influencing us, we still have that right to choice. So
yeah,
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that, how that, like, it does kind of show us who we are in a sense, or like what's the next move as we're maneuvering. Things are kind of just adapting into the next space.
Yeah, I mean, you can choose to sit back and kind of wallow in our sorrows, and and to actually to choose that negative approach, or to choose to be triggered or whatever. But then there's that other choice is, hey, I can still march through this life happy. I can actually, I've had open heart surgery in 2016. I could have chose to let the depression override me and continue to take me down a negative, dark path. But my choices were, no, I'm not going to do that. It's not who I am. I want to choose to move forward, persevere, and continue forward. I'm still here for a reason.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a pretty intense thing to go through, so that's amazing.
Yeah. That's a good note to end it on right there.
Yeah. So, Pirates,
hey, Chuck, I wanted to say to you, I feel the same way about these meetings. I appreciate them so much, and honestly, I've told this to the crew before, but they're kind of like they're my new best friends.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So, and I've never even met them in real life. So.
And I get that. And I think that this is sort of like the new world the new natural order that we're creating, right? Technology does have its problems, but it does have this benefit, and I think that we do get to create new friends.
It's a beautiful thing, because we can meet like-minded people that we'd never meet in real life. If I just sat around Lancaster and Santa Clarita trying to meet people and trying to have conversations like this, it just wouldn't fucking happen. Because of the internet, we all met. So, this is double-edged sword, right? The internet's being used to manipulate and control, but look at what happened right here. So we're utilizing this tool for our advantage, just as any tool.
Exactly. So two things before we jump off. First, next week, just for the holidays, we're not going to be live streaming. But the week after that, I'm having this thing. We did it last year. I call it the Ceox holiday chat. And literally, it's just where I blasted out to a bunch of friends in the marketplace and just friends from whatever to just join for a call. So I can't tell you. Hopefully, next time we get together, we'll just have a whole bunch of new people on that we have no idea what we're talking about. So Whatever it looks like in 2 weeks is what it'll look like in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second thing, I wanted to add this, and something to kind of think about. Back in South Carolina, when I get there, my father-in-law and I have been talking about actually building a little hydroponic type thing. We have a greenhouse, we have a pond that has fish in it, and we're going to kind of pull from that. That maybe what we could start really talking about, you know, it would have to be super easy because I'm not very mechanically inclined, but like literally building that version of it as a basic metaverse. And you know, like Jake, you can kind of like, okay, this is what we're doing here. Like we could bring in now some version of that metaverse teaching that we were just talking about and sort of sharing a story of a very basic aquaponic. Anyways, I just wanted to leave that with you to something to think about, because I know that's I think it'd be fun. Like we have that space, and it's something that my father-in-law and I have been talking like, hey, that'd be fun to do. And now just adding like that it would be a part of something even more than just us playing in the water, right?
I just thought schools in the metaverse would be a great idea, because kids are already going virtual with their teachers. What if they could just put their avatar into a channel and learn and actually walk up to the chalkboard without ever leaving their house? And then also you wouldn't have to have the public education system manipulating them. You'd be able to have all sorts of private metaverse institutions. I love that.
I'll have to send you a video.
Yeah,
there's a video that we played in 2014-ish, where it was a glass. There was a piece of glass where two students walked up. One of the kids was in America, another one was in China. They walked up and they played tic-tac-toe on the glass with each other, and then actually as they were writing messages to each other with like crayon or whatever, the marker or whatever, it was translating to the other language. So that to me is exactly what you're talking about. That type of thing where you could actually start interacting all around the world and never ever have to worry. Like that translation could be instant.
Yeah, this is part of some of the games I play have a little button you can click in the chats. So in my clan chat for Mir 4, there's a little translate button, and they're all talking in Tagalog because they're all Filipino, and I can just easily click the translate button on each of their comments and be able to communicate with them.
That's
awesome. Love it.
Yeah,
that's excellent.
Good stuff.
All right, pirates. Thank you again.
All right, guys. Have a good night. See you in a couple of weeks. Happy holidays.
Have a good night.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.